So I had a script and everything for version 2.6's So the Thing About video, had some jokes here and there, and was talking about how I felt about the patch overall. Then I looked back on it, and I decided to scrap the whole thing. So here's the thing. It was a long script, and I'm pretty sure I got carried away, but in truth, I was just so confused about how I really felt about this patch. And I think I still am, so I'm just going to tell you straight up, this is what I think about this version as of this moment. 2.6 was honestly strange. As much as there were some amazing QL changes like having the ability to fly everywhere and being able to claim all for achievements and dailies, there were also a laundry list of bugs and issues that flew under the radar upon release, some of them being really game-breaking, like Augustus time stop sabotaging WuWa runs. There's also been talks of how the performance of the game has been dropping since 2.3, though with my rig, the most I've been seeing is longer load times. That's not to say that there's nothing wrong with the performance of the game, I'm just saying that the performance drop has yet to reach me. Anyway, alongside these issues, there's also a mess when you look outside of the game. There's genuine criticisms being silenced, while at the same time there are Doom posters left and right talking about subjects like how Uno can only be used with Augusta's team, which is untrue by the way, or how there's some sort of power creep issue or HP inflation, which is being completely misrepresented in the context of the game. Basically, all of it is stupid and exhausting to get into. For the most part, I regret looking outside of the game as it put a dampener on how I felt about the game overall, but it is what it is. Overall, I think 2.6 was strange, not that it was bad or anything, but the best way I could describe it was that it was serviceable. Let me explain. Also, there will be spoilers. So, when it came to the story in the first half, it's okay, but as far as plot goes, it's not the most intriguing. Like, you're going on a hunt which leads to the real hunt, so that way you can end up to where the main character needs to be to get a relic that will be important to the overall plot. Yeah, it's a serviceable plot, I guess. At least I can appreciate the subtle influence of Monster Hunter from the Hunter's Hub to the hunt itself. Unfortunately, the hunt wasn't as exciting as I would imagine a hunt to be. Sure, we got a little bit of tracking in, but what we ended up doing most of the time was clearing out a bunch of tacit discords and punching a rock. And I guess there was a little bit of political drama for some additional spice. Look, I expected more of a back and forth between us and our target, but instead, the most we got was a running sequence where I decided to break the magic of the intensity conveyed from the section and tested to see if that sense of urgency was genuine. Turns out, it's not that big of a deal. Like, throw a rock at me or something, don't just have the monster poke its head through a wall like it's a Jurassic Park ride. Anyway, I found it funny that I constantly had this feeling that the monster wasn't going to be a big deal because deep down, I knew it was going to be a normal mob and the real target was going to be something far more intense. But man, I don't think they needed to describe this monster as something that was dangerous enough for us to tread lightly.
A Chorosaurus that knows how to set a trap, waiting for its hunters to walk right into it. Quite an interesting opponent.
A sly enemy like this won't play by the usual rules. The more cautious we are, the better. A kingdom of brutality, and the beast is proud of it. Every hunt before this, it was here that we met our final battles. This is destined to be an evenly matched game of life and death. Hunter or prey. Only the one still standing gets to decide.
Alright, come on. It's just a regular mob that you can find in the wild. It's not that deep. Now, let's talk about the yapping sections after the initial hunt. I'm not opposed to the yap sections. I'm actually okay with it as long as it's engaging. And to be fair, sometimes we need a break after all that action. I mean, our little chat with Uno and the group meeting was great, but here's the thing. After that section, it just keeps going. You see, when we started our expedition into Murmurstown, I thought we were in for something really intense. What I did not expect was to be met with more yapping, and then find a Sonoro, and then there's even more yapping. And you know what? I actually don't take issue with everything that went on in Murmurstown. What I truly take issue with is the part where we are in the Sonoro listening to two echoes talk to each other revealing Augusta's past. This felt like the game was saying, "We interrupt this program to bring you Augusta's backstory." And when you take into account where we are at in the story, I felt like this section kind of hurt the story's pacing. The worst part is that we just stand there and listen to them. Sure, they break the monotony of the experience by having us exit the Sonoro so we can fight some tacit discords, But we jump right back in and we get the same boring experience. When it comes to this specific section, this has to be the weakest execution of visual storytelling that Kuro has ever put out in recent memory. What annoyed me a little was that when we finally made it to the tree at the end of that sequence, Augusta began highlighting the important parts of her past and how she felt about it, and I was like, finally, we got to the point of this whole thing. Fortunately, it was just that small section that was rough. Everything afterwards was a banger. I mean, we got to fight Augusta, like, more of this please. And then after the true boss fight, this story concluded with an epic cutscene, only to be followed up with us sharing the title of Hero of Heroes with Augusta. Which kind of felt awkward to me, considering how the story seemed like it was pointing towards her truly becoming the Hero of Heroes, and also she blew away a whole ass area. Like, after seeing that, I'm good. I don't need that title, you can have it. Looking back, the story wasn't bad, but a part of me felt like this story was playing it super safe, or that Kuro was holding back. Especially after Forlova's quest back in 2.5, this felt rather tame. Don't get me wrong, there's some hype moments for sure, it's just that the story didn't really leave an impression on me. But that's just the story in the first half. How about the second half of 2.6? The story in the second half of 2.6 is a much slower paced story, and for good reason. It's trying to tell a different kind of story. We're not going on a hunt or saving the world from an imminent threat. We're trying to bring Yuno back into existence from the chaos due to her actions from the previous arc. As much as this quest serves as an epilogue, this felt like it was actually more of a character quest dedicated to Yuno. Now, if I want to be disingenuous, then I could say that this story basically took this section and stretched it into an entire quest arc, but is far better in terms of visual storytelling. And to a certain extent, this is true. But really, I think that Kuro knew that there was going to be a lot of yapping and less action in this story, so they decided to fill the space with having you deal with a bunch of QTEs, switch things up as you go from point A to B, or maybe throw in a minigame in there. And let me tell you, they put in a lot of work and creativity into these aspects to make this story feel like we're in for a slightly different experience than we're used to.
There.
Oh, that's cool. We're getting a God of War experience now. It's fascinating that these aspects, no matter how small, really enhance the experience for me. There's also the amazing effort put into how they created the world inside Chaos, where, in a world devoid of color, the moonlight fills the space, contrasting the heavy darkness, which also makes certain areas pop with an aesthetically pleasing glow. Add that with our time with Yuno, and it makes the entire quest feel intimate, which I'm all for. But at the end of the day, the incredible visual storytelling and the immaculate voice acting performances are what hard carried this experience.
What is it you expect to hear then? I'm a blacksmith, long dead. Once a forger of weapons. A father to a daughter. A reflection of her past in the chaos.
Why is the voice acting in this quest so good? Gosh darn. But actually, what really hard carried this experience was us being able to hold hands with Yuno. Yeah, this is the greatest game ever. I can't believe they actually did it. When it comes to the story in the second half, I felt that this was where Kuro was firing on all cylinders. The only thing I could possibly criticize was that the Avidius part kind of felt ham-fisted into the story and was a bit pointless to me. Like, we already knew Cristoforo had a hand in what was going on with him, but I guess it was there to make sure Rover knows. The other thing worth criticizing was when we turned into Yuno and divined a bunch of people's futures. This could have been shorter, but at least I had some kind of enjoyment out of it. Ew, what the hell is in this bottle? What the fudge? Why is this so white? Why is this so detailed? Ugh, what the hell is this? Ugh, look at this. Ugh. Looking back at the 2 stories we got, it reminded me of something I've mentioned in previous videos. What I learned from PGR is that Krill really excels at character-driven stories, and when it comes to plot-driven stories, it's a bit rough. To me, 2.6 shows us exactly that, where the story in the first half was more plot-driven heavy, while the latter half was much more character-driven heavy. And it seems that the latter half really played to their strengths. But it's not just that. Back in PGR, there are times when the devs would try to change things up to create a unique experience for a story arc. Yuno's quest is similar in that respect, where the devs were trying to create a unique experience for this quest alone. Which is why I feel that this quest really stood out to me even though the unique aspects were minimal. It just makes for a great experience. Or maybe I'm just biased because of the handholding. Either way, because of everything that made up this quest, from the writing all the way down to the soundtrack, I think that this quest was the best part of 2.6. Wuthering Waves version 2.6 introduced us to a new region, the Sanguis Plateaus. And the thing is, well, it's a bunch of plateaus. Yeah, it's called the Sanguis Plateaus, and that's exactly what we got. But you know what? It looks great. The skybox, I mean. The plateaus are whatever. Honestly, this area elicited the same reaction I got when looking at the Bear Waters. The area was meh, but the skybox was cool. The only difference is that the plateaus has some interesting areas that's actually worth exploring, or at least visiting. You see, we got the Monster Hunter-like hub with the Hunter's Den and the Tetragon Temple. There's also Murmur's Town and the plateaus of Marinwood and the Asphodel Barrens. And finally, there's the bottom area of the Wastelands where the Dark Tide is spilling all over the place. That said, what you explore is pretty much the same thing we've been doing since 2.0. Find chests, do challenges, and finish some side quests, which for this patch was kind of forgettable. But beyond that, there weren't any big standouts when it came to exploring. The most I can remember is the Crab Shrine, which felt like a secret joke quest. Other than that, the whole experience felt shallow. I wanted to find monsters that could travel between areas almost as if I'm hunting in a greater expanse, or give me some contract kills or something. Make me feel like I'm on the hunting grounds. Or truly have me feel the threat of the Dark Tide instead of having me stand in its dirty water to truly feel its effects. It just teleports you to the shore, by the way. It's kinda lame. I miss the incredible effort put into the exploration quests like the ones we had in 2.0, or secrets that were larger in scale compared to the Crab Shrine quest. Something along the lines of the Oakheart High Court back in 2.0. Overall, this region feels bland. It's more of a pretty backdrop where you can do certain activities as opposed to being a unique region that banks on its own identity everywhere you look. It's strange and I sort of miss that, like the time mechanics in Mount Firmament or the echo puzzles littered throughout the region of Raguna. Like, what do we have here? Dirty water? Then there's the events. They're just leisure events. But the most notable one I need to point out is the tower defense one. I feel like a lot of development time went into this one. It has a lot of depth and its own endgame mode. But personally, I'm not a fan of tower defense, and I hope people who enjoy it would like this kind of event, but what I wanted was a combat-oriented event. It feels like it's been a while since we've had a combat event for casuals. I mean, it's Curl's bread and butter, and I was hoping to see if they could bring out a new event that would come with a bit of a twist. Like, we usually see this in PGR sometimes, but the most we got in 2.6 was an update to TOA and a new hologram boss fight, which, by the way, is super annoying. But let's say we ignore TOA and hologram. So what do we get in terms of events? Honestly, it's just the tower defense, and if you're not into it, well, much like the Sanguis Plateaus, there's not really much else, aside from some very quick minigames. I wish there was more to it, but unfortunately, that's all we were given. After having gone through 2.6, I wondered to myself, what am I even doing in Wuthering Waves at this point? As a casual, all I look forward to is the story, but beyond that, what else is there? As an open world game, I expected them to also give us an amazing experience in the open world, but exploring it feels like a shallow experience. Then there's the events. They're okay, but none of them capitalize on Curl's bread and butter. As for the endgame, well, I only dabble in it, so I have no say in the matter. So here's the thing about 2.6. Overall, it's kinda mid. The content itself was serviceable. It did what it set out to do. We got 2 stories that would slowly move us towards the conclusion of the Renacida arc. We got a new region, albeit not exactly the most interesting that they put out, and a bunch of leisure events to pass the time. Now, if you're only here for the story, you're going to be eating good, but if you care about the stuff outside of the story, there might not be much out there for you aside from the tower defense game mode, which, for me, isn't really that exciting at all. Anyway, that's all I have to say for this patch. I'm still excited for what's to come in the next one, and I hope I won't get the same feeling that I had in 2.6. That said, if you liked the video, do leave a like and maybe subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!